Welcome to another episode of the Best Bets Show here on the Field of 68 Network. We are the three-man weave, and we are sponsored, of course, by Bet Rivers. I'm Jim Root, your host today for the special Sunday edition. Ignore the World Cup, ignore the NFL. It's a great day for college hoops, Kai. So many elite matchups. But before I get your takeaway from yesterday, quick shout out to Bet Rivers. Folks, if you are looking to bet on college basketball right now, today, or even this week, use their parlay boost. If you're doing 4 or more legs, 20%, get a little boost on that payout and beat the vig, beat the juice that they're trying to take from you. It's big time if you're betting on Bet Rivers. So make sure you use that. Kai, what'd you see yesterday before we get into today's slate?
Jim, let's talk Maryland. You have my attention, Terps. You have my attention, Kevin Willard. Matt, beat down, man. They killed SLU. Killed him.
Look good.
So impressive. Dante Scott, real deal. All right, I'm bought in. Maryland, I see you.
Are you selling SLU, Kai, as a result of the effort? Are you still holding those shares?
Okay. I'm not selling SLU. We will talk about SLU a little bit later. I have some thoughts, but we can holster that till the rundown.
Jim Pepperdine is my takeaway. The waves remain wavy, despite some very adamant opposition from us that UC Irvine would be the better coach team, the team in better form. The waves got down early and they responded. Their roster is awesome. I've said it a million times in the show before. I'll continue to underscore how good it is. And for all of the jokey jokes we've made about that team in the past, when you have, 3 legit pro prospects, it sort of kind of negates all other warts. Talent trumps all in this game. So the Waves look awfully good to start the year.
That they do. Matt, another West Coast Conference team that looks great. That would be St. Mary's. That's my takeaway from yesterday. They just continue to murder really good mid-major competition. Like Hofstra might win the Colonial, and St. Mary's boat raced them by 30, put them in the hurt locker, held them to under 50 points, one of the best, 50 offenses in the country, that Hofstra Pride offense. And St. Mary's put them in a locker. I bet St. Mary's 20-1 to win the West Coast Conference, while Gonzaga is getting beat down by Texas. I think that's a worthwhile wager. Gonzaga hasn't looked great, and St. Mary's looks ridiculous. I mean, look, I don't think it's a coin flip, but I think there's value on 20-1. So
yeah, Jim, you mentioned a lot of those books have not adjusted their prices. So if you can still bet those now based on some early results, that would be a great time to hop in.
Yeah, Florida State's not winning the ACC, so find value there. Okay, Gonzaga, I just mentioned them. Let's get right into the rundown here, fellas. They are hosting, semi-hosting, a big game tonight in Spokane. Kentucky continues a really tough early season schedule here. Kai, the Zags, they've had some shaky efforts so far. All the way back to the scrimmage against Tennessee, where their defense looked terrible. Defense looked awful again against Texas. Even the effort on the carrier against Michigan State, real coin flip game. Do we think that Kentucky is just kind of better right now as it stands today? And is that going to be trouble for the Zags?
I don't know. I still think we're being a little bit alarmist with Gonzaga. They did get trounced by Texas. As we kind of feared, the ball handling was not there for them. And it wasn't just the guards, Matt. They had 20 turnovers. Their bigs had, I think, 9 or 8 of those turnovers. They shot the ball fairly well, but Texas's defense was swarming. They couldn't really handle the athletes. Kentucky definitely has those athletes. I am a little bit worried in that sense for Gonzaga. Shibwe versus Timmy is obviously the highlight here. I'm excited to see that game. That matchup. I don't think the Zags can keep Shibwe off the glass, but I also think Timmy's going to get his as well. The question comes down to the guard play. Right now, Kentucky is probably better, Matthew, in that realm. +4 right now at Bet Rivers. I'd probably lean towards the Wildcats.
Yeah, at the number, it's sort of a stay away for me. If the line had opened closer where Ken Pom has this game, which is basically a pick 'em, I'd be inclined to take the Zags and what's effectively a home game. Just seems like when they get a big team to come to their neck of the woods, it's just such a ripe spot for them to prevail. But again, I think the 4 points where it's sitting at now, Jim, for a Kentucky team looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. And I almost would give the edge to Kentucky's perimeter in this matchup, as crazy as that is. Okay, yeah, it's even saying that out loud, it's like, wow, really, we're going to sell Gonzaga's guards. But in this matchup, yeah, I think Kentucky has the better guards, more athletic guards that can bother the Zags there. So stay away from me. Another one where I'm just looking forward to putting my feet up, getting the popcorn and observing as a spectator.
Matt, how much did you give for home in Spokane in this one?
2.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's tough to figure. They did play there last year. Remember, this is where Alabama smoked Gonzaga.
Smoked them, right? Yeah. It's not the same kennel, let's get hype vibe to me. So it sucks.
Yep. Yeah. I think Gonzaga's guards will figure it out, but they're not there yet. Like there's some Nolan Hickman revenge angle motivated. He committed to Kentucky and now he's at Gonzaga. So this is like probably a pretty big one for him, but he hasn't been super sharp to start the year. The Salas developments, like they're all just kind of sorting their roles out. Chat's big on who's stopping Oscar. Yeah, agreed. Like I think he's going to be all over the glass. Definitely seems like he'll have 15 plus rebounds. The one thing I like for Gonzaga here is that it's a team that will run with them more, whereas Texas and Michigan State have like elite transition defenses, kept them out of moving in transition, and that's where Gonzaga gets so many easy buckets. I kind of lean towards the over. I think this will be up and down track meet
I agree
style.
with that.
But it's at 155.5. Obviously, that's not like some low bargain number, but that would be my lean on this game side. I think the spread is about right. All right, let's go to Vegas. Let's go a little bit south from Spokane down to Sin City. Got the championship game of the Roman main event. Matthew, I don't think we expected this to be the matchup. Virginia and Illinois, two orange fan bases, both were really loud in the T-Mobile Arena on Friday night. So should be a great matchup between two teams that played awesome in that game. What are you looking at in this matchup where Illinois is a very slight favorite at -1?
Well, first of all, I like the under quite a bit. I think this is Virginia's pace, and I think Illinois' half-court defense, in general, offensive flow will settle into what Virginia dictates. But from the side perspective, man, I really want to bet Illinois. I just think the matchup gives me concerns. I don't trust Illinois' shooting. I know they've shot ball really well so far. They have many good shooters, but this Virginia defense is still a different beast. So I don't quite trust them in this spot here. So I stayed away, Kai. I'd like the under. I think this is a Virginia-paced dictated type of game, and shots aren't falling at the rate that they fell 2 nights ago, very simply.
Yeah, in the past, it's very difficult to control the pace against Virginia. They usually win that war, so it probably will be played at their pace. Illini are looking to get up and down this year, especially without Coburn. Matt, it's really Virginia's offense that's been impressive to me. I mean, 1.28 points per possession against Baylor, wildly impressive. Obviously shot well, but that's fantastic. Defensively, Baylor scored pretty much whenever they wanted. Is Virginia shooting sustainable? I saw Illinois' defense against UCLA. They look good. They're flying around. They're athletic. That could cause the Hoos a little bit of problems. I'm not betting on this one, Jim. I had to lean towards Illinois as a dog. I believe they flipped to a fade, though. So I will probably be staying away.
Yep. Illinois slight favorite now. The big thing is that Illinois pressure bothered UCLA big time. Like actual full court trapping. And Tyger Campbell is a better point guard than Kihei Clark to me. And maybe they shift some more of the ball handling responsibilities to Beekman. He's a little taller. He won't be quite as bothered by the length, but I mean, they've got 6'7" wings to throw at 5'9" Kihei Clark. I think that could be a little bit of a problem, even though Virginia is very well reputed for taking care of the ball. I think Illinois' pressure is just kind of a different league, and UCLA found that out firsthand. Kyle, you mentioned the shooting. Virginia is 52% for the year. It won't stay that way. Whether the regression comes hard and fast in one game or gradually over a few games is something to monitor. But they're probably going to settle more towards like 36. And that's way better than last year. But still a far cry from 52. So curious to see how that goes. Illinois' defense really makes you uncomfortable like that. You are not very content where you're at. You're constantly kind of worried about where they're flying around. So I kind of lean towards Illinois, but I am not betting this game. Like Matt said, this is a kick your feet up one for me. Next, we'll go to the third place, the consolation game out in Vegas. Matthew, Baylor and UCLA, and we were kind of beating the drum for the Bears, and they got beat like a drum by Virginia. Oh, you stepped on my great joke there. I beat like a drum joke.
That's good.
Just couldn't stop Virginia. Do we think they bounce back here against UCLA? They're laying 2.5. So you're under that key number 3 that you love so much. Are you looking at the Bears here?
I wanted to, but I think Virginia has sort of exposed Baylor's perimeter defense. I'm not saying this is a bad perimeter defense. I just think we've become accustomed to the standard set by Off Night, Davian Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Jared Butler. I don't think the Adam Flagler, LJ Cryer, even Keontae George version is quite as stout defensively on the perimeter. And I think it's part of that was why Virginia got the open looks they got. I think they executed extremely well when you have two great passers and ball movers like Beekman and Kihei Clark. That's always the ball's never going to stick. But I think Baylor made them look better than they truly are. So I'm kind of transposing that into this game. I think UCLA may have a little outburst scoring wise. I think they kind of break out of a little bit of not a slump, but this is one where I think we might be starting to talk seriously about Baylor's defensive concerns after UCLA hangs 80-90 on them today. It should be a pretty fast-paced game, right?
Wow.
Maybe that's too high. Sorry,
Just
low
trouncing
80s.
the Bears here.
I'm a little worried. I am defensively.
Did you jump off the bandwagon?
I know. I did.
I wrote down the same thing, like Baylor's defense not looking quite as locked down. Virginia had a good shooting day.
They did. They hit my shots.
As much as Virginia fans want to believe that's real, it's not sustainable. It was a good shooting day, but they allowed 1.03 points per possession against Norfolk. Baylor did. So it's not the same lockdown Bears defense that we've seen in the past. Their offense is still great, though. Like I said, they pretty much got what they wanted against Virginia. They still have elite guard play, a star, Keontae George. UCLA's got some guys to throw on him, though. They have a lot of wing options defensively. I'm looking for Baylor to cause some turnovers, Jim, because we mentioned UCLA did actually have some issues with Illinois' pressure. I was surprised by that. Tiger had 5 turnovers, UCLA 15 overall. Maybe Baylor can cause some havoc in the backcourt. I'm leaning towards a bounce back for them. I'm going Baylor.
Yeah, I kind of like Baylor here too. I'm not going to totally give up on my preseason number 2 team because they gave up 8 threes in 8 minutes to Virginia. 8 threes in 8 minutes. It's absurd. Like any team is going to kind of be reeling from that haymaker. And yeah, the defense wasn't great there, but in that stretch, Baylor scored 4 points themselves in 8 minutes. Like it was kind of on the offense too. They had a big surge once they got down and that game started to pinball a little bit more, but I just think they kind of got a little lax defensively against some of that mover blocker stuff. Virginia really, this is kind of maybe what we overlooked with Virginia coming into the year was how much the continuity helps in a system, both ends of the floor. Like those guys know how to play off each other in that screening action a lot better this year. And it showed against Baylor. I lean towards Baylor here against UCLA. I just think they're better, and I'm not writing off that effort against Virginia, but I'm taking it as one game in a sample size of 35.
There's a lot of small sample size theater going around.
I know. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm putting my hand up. Chat mob's calling me out. Like, just don't overreact, man. I'm sorry, guys. Sunday scary. It's a little shaky this morning. I know they're telling me not to overreact, and they're right. I think I have to concede when I'm wrong. I think I'm just chill, man. Baylor's good. Trust the process. Trust the system.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to a non-tournament game here before we get to a couple of the championships after Chat Mob. Houston, arguably the number 1 team in the country, maybe getting close to inarguably at this point. They're going on the road to Oregon, into the woods, Matt, deep into the woods in Eugene. What do we think is going to happen here? Obviously, we love the defensive pressure that Houston brings on the perimeter, the versatility, the constant challenging of shots. And Oregon really struggled against UC Irvine. What do you see in this matchup?
This is one where part of me, like my old against the grain self, I'm trying to change and evolve as I get older, Kai, would be like, oh, home dog, Oregon, team I like, high home atmosphere. Houston, can they really be this good? But new Matt's like, no, Houston is this good, A. B, the home court will be negated by the Houston, let's put this in stone, 12-2 run out of the gate, right? Crowd will be completely sucked out of the building. And I think that home dog juice that you're looking for in this type of spot does not apply because Houston is the ultimate treat these types of road games as business trips. They're going to suffocate both the energy out of your opponent and the crowd by association. So the line does feel somewhat maybe high for a road, going on the road for a team that has like top 25 upside. We've seen Oregon play kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but play really good when they have been good so far this year. But Houston's going to negate all that. I just think they're such a great road team. First test of the year, they want to prove they're all the way legit. They haven't quite had like that big marquee test. Check. Houston here. Easy.
Yeah. Long and short, why fade Houston? They're right. A perfect 4-0 against the spread. They're crushing teams. This is their first real test. That's true. It's their first road game of the season, true road game. That's true. These teams played in Vegas last year, though. Houston won by 29. And you can say Oregon is better this year. They might be. They lost to Irvine. Pepperdine just beat Irvine. But Houston's definitely better than last year. I think this Houston team is just a juggernaut. They dominated that game last year. They allowed 0.73 points per possession, dominated the boards, the paint, everything. I think they do it again. -6. I'm surprised Oregon's taking money. I'll be honest. I lean towards Houston here, Jim.
Yeah, you go all the way back to 2020, and Oregon won by 12 in Eugene against this Houston team. It's obviously totally different guys. Peyton Pritchard was on that team, and he is not walking through that door for the Ducks here. I'm with these guys. Like Houston's just kind of a beast right now. I seen the chat first half. Houston, we just put that 12-2 run in stone. If you're going to get like -3.5 in the first half, yeah, I'm pretty into that with the Cougars. They just few teams come out of the locker room with the same fire that they do. Like they don't have to invent reasons to be intense. Like it is
just ready.
It is there right away. Yep. I'm excited to see Jarris Walker. I think he has a big one today. The freshman coming in, Quincy Guerrier, not a great defender in my mind, and I think Walker can really move him around and score on him. So looking at that matchup, big for the Cougars. Huge lean towards Houston. If it somehow dips below 6, I'll probably
keep coming in. Oregon money. Like Oregon's bigs are kind of brittle. Nate brittle, as we call them. I mean, good luck against Oregon's front line. I'm sorry. That's not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
Houston's front line, thank you.
Yeah. All right. That moves us to the first chat mob section. We've got Kai on czar duty. Kai, what do we got?
Starting with the leg show, Western Michigan is -1.5 against Georgia Southern. Boy, do I hate Georgia Southern, Jim.
Hey, they covered for me yesterday. I appreciated it. They had to hang on for dear life after getting up 19 at halftime. Just barely hung on there. But I'm with Lake Show here. I like Western Michigan. I've been really impressed with them early. I think, Matt, we had a pretty solid program rating on them with Hawkins, and it dipped badly with Bates, that kind of like Band-Aid hire they did during the pandemic. And now the new hire has them way back up. Stevens, right?
Yeah, Stevens is good. Yep, Dwayne Stevens.
And they just are at a different level with him back in there, closer to the Hawkins level. I like them, and I don't trust Georgia Southern's offense at all.
Yeah, they're healthy this year, too. A pretty good backcourt with Bjardis White and Lamar Norman. Like, that's not like a pushover by any means.
Matt, I totally forgot. I already promised the chat mob. We're going to hit James Madison, North Carolina, because this game starts very soon, about 30 minutes.
Let's do it.
Spread's back up to 12 here for James Madison. The over got slammed, which makes sense. What do you like in this game?
Not fading James Madison is what I like. So let me say, I'm not going to bet on James Madison. I think the number was a little bit short, but I think James Madison is the ultimate. Don't get in the way of that steam right now. Just don't. They're that good. They're playing that well. We'll say that. I mean, how good they are, we'll find out as the season goes on. But right now, they're playing like a top 25 team.
And
I still lean over.
Not covering numbers against lesser competition.
Down 7.5 in Charleston. They were struggling a little bit with who they just play recently. Yeah, UNC they did this last year.
Yeah.
It's almost like non-con defensive engagement. Sort of like it's a non-starter for them. It's whatever.
Jim, a couple of questions coming in for Nebraska and Arkansas peanut butter.
Ooh, I kind of like peanut butter. I don't really love Nebraska laying big numbers at home. They are coming off an embarrassing second half at St. John's. Look up that box score if you want to laugh. Just pathetic. And Pine Bluff's been pretty darn feisty as an underdog. They haven't covered every game, but they gave TCU a heck of a run. I think they're a lot better than where they're rated, and the number has come down a little bit, but I still lean towards our boys peanut butter.
Matthew, Drake in Wyoming. Can't say Wyoming's been very good this year, but they have been missing Graham Ike. He might just be that important. Who do you like here? Drake is up to -5 currently.
Wish I made this higher. Drake's the right side here. Wyoming has not looked the same. The quotes from Linder very much explicitly say, we don't really know who we are right now. Even like their pace, we thought they played way faster without Ike. They really haven't committed all the way to that. So I just don't know. They're still trying to find themselves. I'd lean Drake, even though they're not fully healthy, but getting healthier.
They're everyone's playing. Penn's getting back in lineup. Yeah, they're healthier. Jim, Jackson State versus Arkansas Little Rock. +2 Jackson State right now.
Man, I think Little Rock is terrible.
Garbaggio.
So it would probably be Jackson State or nothing. I did bet the over here. I think both teams are very willing to run. Not a lot of true bigs on the floor. Like Little Rock is a lot of wing forward tweeners that they're playing in the front court. And I think Jackson State with Mo Williams is going to hit the gas. So I did bet the over there, Kai.
All right, Matthew from Shannon. We'll go Georgetown and LaSalle. This one has taken money. Georgetown's taking money. Actually, I think they're up to -4. They're at -2, -2.5.
What money who is betting on Georgetown? Is my question to that.
Brave souls
to the matchup.
Yeah, is the line short? Sure. Am I going to bet LaSalle 2.5 against a more talented team? 4? Still no. Well, no on both sides, but especially no on Georgetown. This is a stay away, folks. Find something else to bet on.
Patrick Ewing. Just think about
also that point if you're looking at Georgetown.
Jim, last one before we're going back to the rundown. Let's do Boston and New Hampshire from Ryan A. It's up to 6 right now in favor of Boston.
I wanted Boston at one of the lower numbers last night. Looked at it this morning and was like, oh, that's been sniffed out. I think New Hampshire had kind of an aberrational first game where they shot the ball really, really well. Boston used a team with a lot of veterans. I would definitely lean their way, but the number is kind of out of control, so I can't recommend it.
I can't believe those guys for Boston are still there. Like, it's been the same core for 4 years now.
Walter White,
Jonas Harper, Britton Watts. They're there for years.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to the rundown. I got some more holstered.
All right. Well, I'm coming right back to you, Kai, for the Hall of Fame tip-off championship. We mentioned Maryland in the opening. You had your takeaway about them. I want to give a quick shout out to Norshad Omier because I don't think I was super nice to him on the show yesterday. And
he looked good.
19 and 12, 2 blocks, 7 to 12 shooting. Like, he was just a complete beast. He's so broad-shouldered that sort of negates his lack of height, and he's very bouncy. So if he holds up that well against power competition like he did yesterday against Providence, then Miami's pretty great. How do you see this one? Does Maryland keep rolling, or is it the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I actually had written down apology to Amir as well. And we did hear that Florida's coaching staff thought he was actually good as well. So I'm going to give him some bump ups in my personal personnel ratings, which are non-existent, Matthew. Like I said, my takeaway, I think Maryland's awesome, man. I'm super impressed. They're 4-0 against the spread, 10-point cover margin right now. Nothing wrong with that. Dante Scott's great. I'm not really ready to say Kevin Willard's an upgrade over Turgeon. This is a really experienced team.
I am.
This is a really old team. They are very, very old. It's basically last year's team plus Jameer Young, right? I'm sure I'm missing a guy or two in there. But
yeah, effectively, yes.
Miami did look good against Providence. Relatively no sweat win. I still think they're dangerous with that backcourt duo. But again, like I've said several times, I still don't trust them. I don't trust that matchup with Wong and Pack. I'm winning Terps here. I think they have an edge on the defensive end.
Oh, I like Maryland here. Sorry, you said Terps. They say Canes. Yes, I'm with you.
Terps.
Hard agree with Kai. Turtle, Maryland, Canes, Miami. Got it.
-1 right now.
Yeah, it's too short. I'm with you, Maryland. And like even in their first 2 games, I think they were up way bigger than the final margin indicated. The pressure they put on SLU. SLU kind of has their own internal offensive issues right now with Perkins.
We're getting to SLU on the outline, don't we?
Yeah, okay, we'll say that. But Maryland played a part in them looking completely out of sorts on offense. Just Donald Carey's got some fluidity to him. Young starting to kind of seize that point guard role. Hart can handle it and create a little bit. Just a lot of versatile dudes they can interchange. Very balanced. You never know where their scoring punch is coming from. Yeah, I'm just happy. I mentioned yesterday I have a 30-1 Big Ten flyer on Maryland to win it, and I like it because the Big Ten, who the hell knows that inbound schedule? You could see Maryland running off 12-6 to start the league. So I like the Terps. Keep riding the wave.
I was kind of poking through prices yesterday, Matt. I think there's a Maryland 42-1 out there still.
Pounce on it.
I need to.
It's bad number.
Should have line shop, Matthew.
Yeah, Matt doesn't line shop, that guy.
Nah, I'm loyal to the Rivers,
Maryland's
obviously.
A lot more willing to run offensively. I actually had a Maryland fan in my DMs like, this is so refreshing. Like, they get the ball off the glass, give it to Hakeem Hart, let him run and kind of pick out shooters, guys running to the rim. They didn't really do that as much under Turgeon. So yeah, they look better. I also still made Miami a very slight favorite here, like a half point. So I lean that way on the number. I like Miami's guards kind of a lot more than I like Maryland's, but this is big time stay away from me. Still figuring out both these teams. And while I've been high on Maryland, I think they're getting decent respect here in the number because, like I said, I made Miami a slight favorite. I think there could be a lot of scoring. So I would lean towards over in that game, although they are back-to-back, so be wary. All right, we'll go to the Charleston Classic Championship now, where the host, Charleston Cougars, are in the title game, hosting Virginia Tech. Kai, we've been impressed with Virginia Tech, but they've kind of let some leads slip, especially against in the opener against Furman. What do you think this time? No, that was Penn State. They play in the
ODU and Penn State.
ODU and Penn State.
They gave up big leads.
Yep. And we know Charleston is prone to really erratic play. So this could be a prime live betting game. If either team gets up, step in and take points with whoever is down. Anything else for you here, though, pre-tip?
Charleston's legit. They continued their tear on Friday. They beat Colorado State by 10. They moved up 53 spots now, Matt, and KenPom from the preseason ranking, which was too low. Market knew that right away. They're awesome on offense. They play a fun style. I'm a big Pat Kelsey fan. They should have some legit fans in the stadium today. I know they're giving away free tickets today. Pat Kelsey had a nice hype up video on Twitter. It was very good. But Virginia Tech's better than expected, in my opinion. And Jim was right. They were in control against Old Dominion and Penn State, had huge leads before giving it up. There's going to be a ton of offense in this game. There's no way Charleston's stopping Virginia Tech. It's not happening. They're not a great defensive team. But I don't think the Hokies are really stopping Charleston either. So I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of points, Matthew. I have a slight lean towards Virginia Tech.
I was slightly lean toward Charleston. I'm super impressed with this Cougars team. Market obviously likes them more than anyone. You just watched how all of their games have been bet up from the opener to the close. They've taken money consistently. And this does feel a little bit short. I will say 5.5. But it is a home game. I think that's probably priced too much for the market considering Virginia Tech's been there all week.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, but in like I think Ken Pom has it as a true home, and I think the market probably is the odds makers probably baked in some home with that too. So if you're looking to back Charleston, you might be getting shorted a point or two on this line. But if you like him like I do, I think you back him here. Back him small. I know Virginia Tech's a well-coached team, but I'm riding this Pat Kelsey momentum.
I think the line's too short. I'm a big fan of Charleston this year. I've bet him a bunch already this season, but 5.5 when I'm giving, to answer Cody, I think I gave a half point for home. Yeah. And maybe that's too much. Like they've been there. There's zero travel. There's total comfort with the rims and the just the setup of the gym. So you can't give much of anything for home. And I can't get it out of my head that Virginia Tech has really dominated their first two games. Yes, they let the back door open, but I think it's more indicative of who they are, that they're able to get ahead against pretty solid competition so far. So lean towards Virginia Tech there for me. I think it could be more of an under game just because I don't think tempo will be crazy. Virginia Tech, it's easier to slow someone down than speed someone up, but efficiency could be nuts. Both these offenses are really, really lethal. So
I agree with the last two comments in the chat. Charleston +3 first half. We know Charleston's second halves have not been a fun ride.
But Vodtek's been starting like crazy. I would not take.
That's true. Vodtek's been off to a hot start too.
They've been up 20 both games, like right away.
In general, I think the line's pretty sharp though. I agree with Cody. The line's 6.5, 5.5. It's pretty sharp.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of not getting out to good starts, down 20 right away. That was SLU yesterday. They got pummeled by Maryland. Just never had a chance in that game at all. Now they're taking on Providence, who hung around the entire way with Miami, but never really felt like they were going to win. Like it was kind of 8-10 for almost all the second half. Matt, what are you looking at with this one here? Do the Bills bounce back? Do they sort out the problems that they clearly had yesterday? Or is it more of a Providence lean for you here?
Had SLU been competitive yesterday, I would have been pouncing all over the opener at -1, but the Javonte Perkins does not look right. The offense looks very herky-jerky, and so I saw the line, I was like, that's too low, but I'm going to pass because there's a chance SLU is in this there's a chance that they're just on the mend for like the next 2 weeks or a month. I think they're going to be fine by A-10 play, but right now it's not the SLU team that I think we expected. So hard to stay away.
I think that's a little overreaction.
Overreaction? It's overreaction Sundays from Eddie Cox. Let's go.
SLU just beat Memphis and controlled them the entire game.
And controlled the whole game, most of the game. Yeah.
I agree on Perkins, though. I know he had 17. I'm kind of worried about him, Jim. His gait is hesitant. It's awkward. It's like stutter steps. He doesn't really take risks right now with jumping or having explosive plays. He looks like he's afraid to get hurt again, which is understandable, but it's not the same player. He can shoot. That's really all he's doing right now for SLU. I think they get back on track, though. They're too good. I think they're more talented than Providence. Ed Cooley is a better coach than Travis Ford, maybe by a mile, but I think SLU's just too talented here. I'm not really impressed by Providence on either end, and SLU on offense is elite.
Yeah, I mentioned yesterday the splits for Cooley as an underdog coach. He's like 58%. Yeah. Didn't cover yesterday, though, and this is, again, like a really short dog.
Really short, yeah.
This isn't like, oh, he's catching 10 and he's got to keep a team close. It's almost a pick'em game. I lean towards the Bills as well. The Perkins stuff just really bums me out because I can see that in my future of being super tentative and afraid to get hurt. So I understand it, but yeah, they need his scoring pop, and defensively, I mean, they just kind of got shredded by, it's kind of the same thing as that Virginia second half run, where if a team hits a few threes in a row in succession early, it just loosens your defense up. You kind of start questioning the scouting report. Oh, that 28% shooter hit 2 threes. Like, what do I do now? Do I stick to the report or do I have to get out on him? I think that just changed the complexion early. So leaning towards the Bills, but yeah, the fact that they were non-competitive is terrifying. All right, let's get to the last one on the outline here. And I kind of squeezed it in because it is a championship game, but we did not expect it to be the championship. UMass and Charlotte, Myrtle Beach Invitational final here. Kai, we've been driven mad by UMass so far this season, but they've actually been okay against the number.
They have been.
They against all odds as we watch them.
Yeah.
But Charlotte is performing like we thought they would when they hired a Tony Bennett assistant and had pretty decent talent, especially through the portal.
Yeah.
Where do you land on this game? I think there's kind of a nice tug of war here.
Yeah, they finally figured it out, Charlotte. It's amazing. Don't watch UMass if you bet on UMass. It's one of the most frustrating teams I've seen. Frank Martin's playing 11 or 12 guys. His rotations and his lineups don't make sense half the time. He starts his son. No disrespect. He's not a good basketball player. He's not a Division I player. He has two bigs, Matt, Levesque and Conte, that he's using to initiate offense at the top of the key. And it makes no sense to me because they can't dribble, they can't shoot, they can't pass. Levesque's turnover rate is 35% this year, and we're still swinging it to him at the top of the key every possession. I've watched too much
UMass. His passes are terrible. He just I'm supposed to throw here. Okay.
Yes, he's been a fantastic defender, and they have been really scrappy on the defensive end. However,
yes, right.
However, when they went zone last game against Murray State, they got picked apart. They didn't know where they were supposed to be on the floor. Colorado got a ton of open shots. I think they're kind of a powder keg waiting to explode. I think Charlotte's the better play here. They've been excellent, and they're a disciplined team under Ron Sanchez.
Yeah, I think UMass is. I don't know if they're a powder keg. I just think they're really volatile at this point in the season, where Martin's trying to figure out a bunch of stuff with a bunch of new guys. And the big change, I think, this year is that Martin is like the ultimate motivator, energizer from a defensive standpoint. So while positionally they may not be very sound yet, whether it's a man or press or zone, they play hard as shit, right? And that's just kind of a Frank Martin staple. And he's got athletes, he's got length. So you put those two together, and the defense is going to be pretty good. And I mean, they beat Colorado handily. They beat the Murray State team. We were just, showering praise. And so while it's not a fun process to get you to a cover, they've been pretty good against the spread 3-1 this season. Now, I know the Towson game still reeks in our memory, Jim, but I guess I wouldn't be afraid to back UMass. And I was thinking about coming back counterpunching against the market that already bet Charlotte up to a favorite on that side.
You mentioned how
Charlotte's a
volatile
favorite. Wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Charlotte's up to a favorite now.
UMass -1 at Bet Rivers, but yeah.
UMass, You mentioned how volatile they are. I think that's epitomized by RJ Luis and Matt Cross. Those guys can be awesome and take over games, or they can be terrible. What was RJ Luis against Towson? I think he was 0 for
10
from the field. That's
0 for 5 against Murray State.
Then he had 20 against Colorado.
Yeah. So you know that Fernandez is going to be relatively steady at the point, although Kai's furious with his free throw shooting this year.
Oh my gosh, he's a terrible free throw shooter.
It's been awful. But Weeks and Cross and Luis, those guys are so up and down. They're still trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. I just trust Charlotte a lot more right now. I think they're pretty consistent. Ali Khalifa is a fantastic passing big.
Yes.
He'll throw some backdoors if UMass overplays here, which I think they will.
Take notes, Levesque.
Yeah, absolutely.
Towson killed UMass with backdoors. It's a good point, Jim. Just to throw in the
yeah. I'm leaning heavily towards Charlotte here, just because of the more disciplined, steady. You might have to live through a 12-0 UMass run where they look unbelievable, but I think the metronome of the 49ers is going to be steady enough to win, and I don't think their talent level is that far below UMass. All right. That is it. Let's get to Chat Mob before we hit our best bets, which I believe none have been revealed yet.
They have not.
So Kai, what do you got?
Let's talk Penn State and Colorado State. Interesting matchup here. Matt, thoughts?
Two great coaches, two great offenses. The line sharp. Another put feet up, get popcorn, watch. No action for me. Maybe a little slight lean to Colorado State. Slightest.
Plus 4.5. Yeah. Penn State shooting maybe a little bit unsustainable. Kind of like Virginia a little bit.
I assume that the over got bet because every Penn State over has gotten bet.
Yeah, their efficiency's been wild. They're not really playing much faster. They're just shooting the crap out of the ball. Yep. Jim, Kennesaw State and Campbell? Wow, interesting game here.
Yeah, all these teams playing these multi-team events, multiple games, multiple days. Kennesaw was able to pull one out late yesterday, whereas Campbell had the ultimate collapse. They were up 20 with 5 minutes left and lost, which is absolutely insane. So I kind of lean towards Kennesaw. I think maybe Campbell's going to be reeling from that a bit, and I think Kennesaw is better. So I would lean towards the Owls.
Man, Kennesaw's feisty this year. Look out for those Owls, baby. Yep. Matt, you got DePaul and Oklahoma State, which should be a really pretty game.
The Yorane Bowl, right?
Yeah. I don't know if
Shouts
he's in.
to-
He missed last game.
He's
Yeah.
officially out, I think.
And that is the key part of this handicap. I always say injuries don't matter until they do. In this one, I think DePaul being down their two main front court pieces against Oklahoma State's just towering front line is going to be a problem. I'm not saying they're going to kill them on offense, but I don't see how DePaul scores anywhere inside 10 feet today.
All right. How about A&M and Loyola? I'll take this one. Boy, Loyola's been terrible this year. A&M has too, but I've been way more down on Loyola. They've started terrible. I have a lean towards A&M at -4.5, -5. I need to get back on track.
A&M pressures, and Loyola is punting the ball in the stands. Like they turn
really
it over
weird.
25 times a game.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's strange. Marquise Kennedy is coming back from injury. He is playing. I'm not sure he's confident. He played last game, came off the bench. I don't think he's confident quite yet in himself. We'll see how he does today.
Braden Norris broken. Make a jump shot, my king. 4 of 24 from 3.
Yeah, I know. Next game, Colorado, Boise. Boise hasn't looked great either, Jim. I don't know.
What
do you think?
Selling Boise.
No, I don't know what to think of either of these two. I mean, Colorado's the ultimate like whack-a-mole team, or either they're whack-a-mole or they are one good, one bad, one good, one bad. I believe that would put them due for a bad performance here.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to keep an eye on that trend of them just not really being consistent enough to sustain over a couple of games. I do think Boise's relatively competent. They took care of Loyola. I thought that was a solid bounce back effort after getting buried in the opener. I would lean towards Boise here, but not strong and not betting it.
Baylor Hoosiers are 27.5-point favorites over Miami of Ohio. That seems high.
Does it? I don't think it does. Miami of Ohio is broken right now. Injuries, the roster's talent.
I didn't take him.
Travis Steele. Travis Steele comes to, I guess he's been to Bloomington before, right? Xavier, I don't know if you played.
I don't know.
You're
anyway,
just thinking that because they just played Xavier. So
yes, you're right.
Connection.
Irrelevant. Disregard all of that. I think Indiana smashes here, even though it is a dead spot on a Sunday after the big Xavier win. I do think Indiana takes care of business pretty easily.
Yeah.
Jim,
if you're going to back Miami, I would do it first half.
Yes.
Fairleigh Dickinson, VMI. Fairleigh Dickinson -5 against VMI right now.
Yeah, this has gotten bet up. I had sniffed out that I thought VMI was terrible to start the year, and the market has like caught on very quickly. Did not help that they lost by 1,000 to SIUE yesterday, which just tells you how bad they are, tells the market how bad they are. I'm starting to already lose value on fading them, but I think this is one where FDU is good and VMI stinks, but unfortunately there's no value on that number.
I might as well say it now. Tomorrow's show is going to be an hour earlier, guys. We're going to start at 11 a.m. Central. Hopefully, hit
all this
some
week.
Of those tips.
Yeah, so we can get early takes in. Yep.
Last one here, and then we'll hit our best bets. Jim, it's Green Bay, and they're playing a team that I can't read. I forgot what I wrote down. I'm sorry.
You can't read. I don't even remember who they're playing.
They're playing Utah Valley. Utah Valley.
On the island out in the Caribbean there. I lean towards the under. This game should be super, super slow, but the number is relatively low and indicates that. Matt, the spread
Green Bay took money. Green Bay took money. It's down to 12.
Utah Valley should smash them on talent, but I think Green Bay can be a feisty dog because of the system they run and how slow they play. So I didn't end up wagering here.
Yep. All right, Jim, let's hit best bets, man.
Okie dokie. Well, I believe, Kai, you are first on the best bet listing, so hit them.
Tarleton State +5 is my best bet. They are a very good underdog. They play extremely tough. They lead the nation in free throw rate.
5.5, Kai, if you want it.
Is it really at Bet Rivers?
On Bet Rivers, yep.
Thank you, Bet Rivers.
I'm taking the hook, baby. 77.1% free throw rate. That's 11 percentage points higher than the second highest team in the country. They attack the rim with reckless abandon. It's crazy. Billy Gillespie, whatever you think about him, he is a pretty good coach. And I think BC is still vulnerable, Matt. They had a nice bounce back against George Mason, but I think Tarleton's going to turn him over. They're going to punch him in the mouth a little bit. It's going to be an ugly game. I think Texans could even win outright. I like Tarleton +5.5. Best bet.
Love that bet. My King Freddie Hicks got back last game.
I'm gonna knock on wood for that comment. Appreciate it.
I'll knock with you. I'm sorry. You can jinx my bet, as I will reveal right now. Santa Clara rolling with AirPods.
Love that bet.
Landon Pajimski and the squad. Disrespectful line against DePaul, winner for me and those who followed, and another disrespectful line, in my opinion, as a dog against UCF. I know CF's talented. I know they're athletic. I know they're long. They just laid waste to a team that is all of those things too. I don't think UCF is like categorically more talented or more athletic or better coach than DePaul. So it's almost like they're just going to beat the same team they just looked in the mirror against, out execute them. A little bit worried that they're going to be down their primary ball handler, presumably with Stewart, right? Stewart,
No, it's
Tom
Carlos
Stewart.
Marshall missed last.
Carlos Marshall, Marshall missed. But they got enough. They're deep-ish. They're deep enough. I think they're going to win the battle up front too.
Matt, do you think UCF's opponents will continue to shoot 23% from deep? I don't.
No, AirPods is going to make 23 threes today, and no, I don't know. But that's you're right. That's another point in my favor. Another feather in my cap.
AirPods was like a little gimpy at the end of their last game. Like anytime the game wasn't going on, he would be a little gimpy. And then when he was playing, he was like turbo and totally fine. And they had a day off, so I'm not as worried about that. I think he'll be able to recoup from that. My best bet, of course, an under Southeast Louisiana and App State. Southeastern Louisiana is coming off that insane comeback, the aforementioned Campbell collapse. So they just total late rally. They're only 96 points in that game with 5 minutes left. Like the under had the over had no chance. But I think that's indicative of the pace that Sela can be forced to play. And App State, they're at home here. I think they'll be able to control the tempo, keep it slow. And just that emotional high that Southeastern Louisiana was on, I think leads to maybe a little bit of a hangover effort offensively here. So slow and hopefully inefficient. Give that to me. I'll take it. Under 137 for Southeastern Louisiana and App State. That wraps it up. That's our show. World Cup is going on right now. It started. Wow.
Who are you rooting for?
A little bit. Matt, I'm rooting for the U.S. men's national team. That's
I'm in today's game, Jim. Come on. In the opener. Qatar, we have to fake Qatar, right? We're not rooting for the host country.
Well, they're getting smashed already. So
good.
Don't worry
good.
about it. That's it. NFL later, but watch college basketball. Amazing slate. Tremendous. We're going to have our feet kicked up and watching all these games later. You should too. But best of luck on your bets. We'll see you back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern.